Can everybody hear me all right? Hope everybody's having a good afternoon and or a good morning or a good evening, whatever time you happen to be watching this. Since the good thing about lives is that you can watch it, you can catch it whenever you catch it. If you are watching this live as it's actually happening, or let's say the day that I put it out, one thing I will make sure that all of you remember to do is write down your goals for the upcoming month. We got a new month starting in a couple days. Write your goals down. Write down your goals. If you do not have your goals written down, write them down as soon as this live is over. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon either way. Let me make sure I get my pinned comment up here. Actually, I need to put a pinned comment in my Facebook group as well. I forgot to do that yesterday. I will take care of that when this is over. But I hope everybody's doing good. We're gonna get into talking about. Well, y'all see the title. Y'all see what we talk. You see what we're gonna talk about right now. I'm gonna get right into it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete. Basketball is my sport. If you didn't know. What's up, Pierre? Checking in from Paris. Pierre, you want an excuse to come to Miami in February? Because it's going to be like very cold in Paris. I do know that in February. But guess what it's going to be here? It's going to be T-shirt weather. See the shirt that I'm wearing? You can wear this walking around where I live in February. And in February, my event, Work on Your Game Live, is taking place. I'll get to that in a second. Basketball is my sport. Played 9 years pro sports. I've written 33 books. You see a couple of them behind me on the shelf. I've done 4 TEDx talks on similar topics of what my books are about: discipline, confidence, excuse me, mental toughness, personal initiative, career advancement, professional and personal development. And I created this whole brand framework in business that is called Work on Your Game. This whole thing is all about how do you take how to extract. I created a system that basically extracted all the stuff that I learned as a professional athlete, the mindset stuff at least, and I created a system that translates that stuff from the basketball court or the football field or the track or the swimming pool and translates it over to the business world to help business professionals do 2 things specifically. Number 1 is to perform at a higher level more consistently. And number 2, you're doing that so that you can make more money in your business. So if I'm talking your language, you are in the right place. I'm the guy who can help you do that. And they say, yeah, you don't have winners in Miami. I mean, we do have winter, Pierre. I mean, it's just not the same as the winter in Paris. It's just a different kind of winter. We have 80-degree winters here in Miami. Y'all got, I know y'all might use Celsius, but y'all got 30-degree winters. We got 80-degree winters. That's the only difference. But anyway, for everybody to know, I got an event called Work on Your Game Live. It is a 2-day event that is hosted by me and friends here in Miami, February 3rd and 4th, 2023. In Miami is a 2-day event. We're going to be covering stuff that y'all like. Y'all hear me talking about. You follow me on IG. You see my story. You see the stuff that I post. See the stuff I talk about in these lives. Mindset, of course. Strategy, of course. Accountability, of course. Execution, of course. All for the outcome of what? Producing results. Because all of us, I don't care what you do for a living, we are in a results and a performance-based business. If you want to perform at a higher level, you want to do it consistently and produce more results, which usually for most people means making more money, getting more of the outcomes that you want, then you should be at my event, Work on Your Game Live, in February. You get your tickets by going to that link right there. It is workonyourgame.live. So what we're going to talk about here today are the 3 seasons that you go through in your business, in your career. You could actually apply this to a lot of things, but let's just talk about business specifically, these 3 seasons, because in all of life, we go through seasons the same way that we go through seasons in nature, right? So in nature, we have spring, summer, fall, and winter. So right now, we're in the season of, well, in the Western Hemisphere at least, we're in the season of fall, or what is this, late October right now, right? So then we go into winter sometime around late December. We go into winter, then we go right back around to spring, and those seasons just keep cycling around. All y'all should understand that when you run a business, or even if you don't run a business, in your career, because your life is a business, by the way. So even in your career, if you don't run a business, but you work at a job and you get a paycheck, you're on payroll, you go through seasons as well. We all go through seasons. And the reason why this matters is because, and I'm going to lay out my points here in a minute, but the reason why this matters is because sometimes we go through a season of, let's say, the spring and the summer. And the seasons of spring and summer, that's usually when what happens outside in the spring and summer. The weather gets warmer. Everybody feels a lot better because we finally got out of the winter. You got more opportunities and things to do, more places to go. You're enjoying yourself. You might work a little bit less. You don't have to go to school. Everybody's all happy and having fun because everything is kind of popping off in the spring and the summer. And we have seasons of spring and summer in our businesses and in our careers as well. Here's the thing. When the spring and summer seasons, just like in life, in nature, those seasons end. Spring and summer end. Summer is over right now. Where some of you live right now, for example, like I have family who live in, let's say, like Philadelphia, where I'm from. Where I'm from in Philadelphia today, right now, it's 63 degrees in Philadelphia. And the 63 degrees is not crazy, but if it was 63 degrees right here in Miami, I'd be kind of annoyed because that's a little bit too cold for me. But looking at the temperatures, for example, it was 38 degrees this morning in Philadelphia. Tomorrow is going to be 47. They got 47, 53. It gets cold in these places. So Amsterdam, I was in Amsterdam last summer briefly, 46 degrees, 50 degrees. Y'all get the point. All right, summer ends, spring ends in any place that you go to, even here in Miami. I mean, in the summertime, it was like 90. Right now, today is 82. So, I mean, Miami is a little bit different, but you get what I'm saying, is that these seasons end. So in your business, you might have a season where everything's popping off. Every product you put out, every launch that you do, every person who you talk to, everybody's saying yes, everybody's buying, you're making money, everything's working, everything is going good, everything's going great, and you're feeling real good about that. But then what happens is that season ends. The spring season ends, the summer season ends, and then things aren't popping off as much. So you're not making as much. Your return on ad spend is not as high. You're damn near barely breaking even on all your investments. You're talking to people and making them offers, but they're not buying. People are hesitating. You're not generating as much revenue. You're kind of getting down on yourself because you're thinking about how it was 6 weeks ago and compared to what it is now, and you're not doing the same. And you're thinking something that you're doing something wrong. Something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with your product. Something's wrong with the industry. Something's wrong with your customers. You don't know what the problem is. And here's what I'm here to let you know. There is no problem. There is no problem. The only thing that happened is the season changed. Same way that you can't control the temperature outside. It's 82 degrees here right now, but what if the temperature dropped to 65? I mean, I can't make it stay at 82. I hope it stays at 82, but I can't make it stay here, right? You can't always control not always. You cannot control the seasons in how things go in the industry overall. Now, of course, you want to set your business up to be as consistent as possible, and there are steps you can take for that, strategies for it. We're going to be talking about that at Work on Your Game Live in February. But I also want you all to understand that there are seasons you go through in your business in general, and I want to talk about what those seasons are, not when it comes to like something working, something not working. But as I explain this, you'll understand it a lot better, because all of you should be intentional about what season you're in your business right now, and you should be taking actions based on the season that you're in. Excuse me. And sometimes the good thing about us humans is that, unlike with nature, we can be in more than one season at the same time. But you should be intentional about your season. So let's get into it so you understand what I mean here, so I don't have to keep talking in metaphors. Number one is what we call planting season. Planting season. This is the same season that farmers go through. So when you think about these seasons here, I want you to think about a farmer. Even if you've never been a farmer, even if you've never been to a farm, even if you grew up in and you live in a concrete jungle where there's a whole bunch of high-rise and apartment buildings and projects, and there's no farms, and there's no pigs and horses and ducks and cows and cattle. You understand the concept of a farm, right? Even if you've never been to one. You've seen it on TV, you went to school, you watch the cartoons, you know what a farm looks like, right? That there's animals, and there's a farmer, maybe more than one farmer, and they plant seeds, and those seeds grow over time. They germinate, they grow, they produce plants. Those plants produce fruits and vegetables and produce. Those fruits and vegetables and produce eventually become food on the table where you eat. All right, even all there in that concrete jungle that you live in, it gets from the farm to the table. Any of you ever heard of a restaurant called their food farm to table? All right, that's what we're talking about. All right, and if you eat any kind of real food, at some point it was on a farm. All right, unless it's manufactured in some chemistry plant, which who knows? Depending on where some of y'all eat, that's actually where a lot of y'all food is coming from. But you get the point. Planting season is what? What does planting season mean? This is the one that you probably understand, because planting season is like work on your game season. All right, so if you're watching me or you follow me wherever you're watching this, planting season is work on your game season. What does that mean? It means you are working on your game, i.e., you are planting the seeds for future success. That's planting season. Planting the seeds for future success. So when I tell you go get a ticket to my event called Work on Your Game Live, taking place in February, that is an opportunity for you to plant seeds for your future success. You're making an investment into yourself and into your business because that investment that you make now is going to pay you back after that. That's why you plant. Again, if you went to school and you had science class, y'all might have done something with plants, where you might have planted a little plant and a little planter and put it in your classroom when you were in second grade, and you watered it and you gave it sun, and over time you would see that plant would sprout and it would become a little flower, right? That was the whole point. And the whole point of doing that was to show all of you kids when you were in second grade, this is what happens when you plant a seed and you treat it the right way, you take care of it, eventually it's going to sprout and it's going to grow into something that you want. That's the same thing that you do in your business. You plant the seeds now, you get the results later. That's the reason why you look at these books that I have behind me. When you read a book, you don't get paid money for reading a book. Any of you ever got paid money just for reading a book? Maybe by your parents. Your parents might say, I give you $5 every time you read a book. But the actual act of reading a book is not worth money. When you read a book, what are you doing? You invested your money to get the book. Then you invest your time and attention to read the book with the purpose of what? Whatever information and insight you get from the book is going to allow you to do things and take actions that will over time produce better outcomes for you. That's the reason why you're willing to invest in reading a book, because you're going to get information and insights that's going to help you perform at a higher level. That's going to help you produce higher results, because we're in a results-based business. That's the reason why people read books. That's the reason why people hire coaches. That's the reason why you go to live events. That's the reason why you go to conferences. That's the reason why you sign up for courses. Why do you do all these things? You don't get paid money to do any of these things. For the most part, you pay money to do these things. You pay money for books, coaches, courses, events, conferences. I paid money for all of these things this year. A lot of money. This year on all of these things, I spent a lot of money. 5 figures this year on these things alone. Why would I do that? Not because I know I'm going to make my money back from doing the thing. From doing the thing, I get no money back. Here's what I get back. I get insights, access, information. I build relationships. And with all of that, what do? I turn around and I get a return on my investment. In other words, my performance goes up because of the information and insights that I got. I planted those seeds, and later on, I'm going to get the return from those seeds. Same way a farmer understands, just because you planted some seeds of corn today, you don't go running out there 10 minutes later like, yo, where's my corn at? Like, you don't do that. If you did that, they take you off to some kind of facility, right, and lock you up in a straitjacket if you were expecting that to actually happen. We all understand this when it comes to a farm. You got to understand the same thing when it comes to yourself. The planting season is when you are working on your game and you are making investments into yourself that will pay you back in the future. We're going to get to that part later on. So on my show, any of you didn't know, I have a daily podcast. It's called Work on Your Game. And when I introduce the show every day, what's the first thing that I say? The discipline to show up day after day and do the work. That's the first thing I say introducing the show. The discipline to show up day after day and do the work. If any of you's ever worked on a farm, you understand this. A farmer who don't even know what a podcast is, he might not even have a phone. If I sat down and talked to them and said that, they would understand exactly what I'm talking about. They would think I'm talking about what they do when I'm not, because this is a universal principle. Anyone who's successful understands this concept. You show up every day, you do the work, you plant the seeds, eventually you get the outcome. So here's the thing you got to understand about the planting season. This is when you are proactive. You are practicing, training, preparing, grinding, measuring, assessing, adjusting, and doing it all over again. This is the season that you're in. If you're an athlete, the planting season is the off season when you're working on your game and adding new skills. If you're a business person, the planting season is when you're buying books, hiring coaches, going to events, going to conferences, signing up for courses, investing in yourself, studying your business, figuring out what works and what doesn't work, making your adjustments. That's the planting season. And all of you should have some form of planting season that you go through in your business all the time. Now, here's the thing. Another thing you got to understand about planting season. It's usually the longest season and is the most arduous season of your business. Arduous just means it involves or requires strenuous effort. Planting season is the longest season and is the hardest season. And if any of you ever meet a farmer or you go to a farm, ask the farmer, they'll tell you the hardest season is the one where I got to plant. The hardest season is when we got to just keep watching the garden, making sure we don't have squirrels and birds and what other animals, gophers coming and stealing our food before we get a chance to pick it up. We got to make sure that we protect the seeds that we have planted. It's the same thing that you're doing all the time. And also, here's the other thing about planting season. Usually it produces the least amount of ROI in the moment. Now, it produces ROI on the back end, but while the time that you're planting, you don't really get anything out of it while you're doing it. You plant seeds, you don't get anything just because you planted a seed. If any of you has ever grown a flower or some plants, you got a garden or a backyard at your house, you don't get anything for the act of planting. Nobody comes and gives you a check just because you planted some seeds, right? You don't get anything. All you get is the calluses on your hands, sunburn on your neck, and you get a strained back because you've been bending over and planting seeds all day, tending to the garden. When you're a basketball player or a football player or a baseball player and you're working on your game in the off season, what do you get? You got a bunch of sweaty clothes. You're tired. You're sore. You're like, damn, I'm doing all this work. But you always tell yourself at the end of that workout, at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I know 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, the work that I'm doing today is going to pay me back. That's the only reason you show up every day and do the work. And here's the thing. Everybody understands what I just said. So here's the question I got. What stops so many people from investing themselves in business when everybody understands this concept? There's nobody listening to me who doesn't understand what I just explained. Why do so few people invest in themselves in business when the concept, everybody understands it when it comes to working out? You might be 20 pounds overweight right now, but you don't go to the gym one time and then say, well, hey, I didn't lose 20 pounds. So you know what? Let me quit the gym. Nobody does that. You're a basketball player. You're not good at dribbling. And you do your first ball handling workout with a ball handling coach. You don't wake up the next day and say, man, I can't dribble like Allen Iverson or Kyrie Irving, so let me just quit this coach. Obviously, he's not good. You wouldn't do that. That wouldn't make any sense. But in business, a lot of people aren't willing to invest in themselves because they don't understand that this season applies to everything. If you owned a farm and you planted some seeds today, you wouldn't wake up the next day and say, where's my harvest? That wouldn't make any sense. It's the same thing in business. There is a planting season. This is the season when you work on your game. Okay? And planting season is a lot of work. It's very little immediate gratification. And it's even harder when you see other people who are in another season. They're in the season where they're getting all their rewards, but you're not getting any rewards. So you might start to compare and despair. That's what we call that, is when you're looking at what everybody else is doing, comparing it to what you're doing, and then you start to feel bad because they're doing more than you're doing, or at least it appears that they are. And then you end up quitting on your project because you're looking at somebody else's project. We call that looking at the food on another person's plate. When you look at the food on other people's plate, you will always eventually find somebody who has more food than you, and you're going to start to feel bad about yourself, even though there's nothing wrong with you, simply because you made the mistake of not minding your business. You mind other people's business, you're going to find a reason to feel bad about yourself because you're going to be seeing something that ain't your business to be looking at in the first place. And here's a note about planting season, folks. You should always be dedicating some of your resources to planting. Always. In other words, planting season never ends. There's never an end to planting season. You are always planting some seeds for future success. I know a business guy, he talked about this guy named Dan Kennedy. He said, every day in business, he always does something that's going to move him closer to making money the next day. He never just spends a whole day only doing stuff to make money today. He calls it future dollars. Always do something that's going to get me closer to money tomorrow, not just money today. And a lot of people, because they have a very short time perspective, which is basically how far into the future do you project the outcomes of your results. A lot of people, because they have very short time perspectives, they don't do that. They only think about what can I get today, and then tomorrow you got to do the whole thing all over again. And this is how you end up in what we call tactical hell. You're always dealing with right now problems, and you never set yourself up for future success because you're only thinking about today. You're only thinking about immediate gratification. But hold on to that because we're going to move into the second season. And I'm going to give you 3 seasons here that we go through. So, second point. Today we are talking about, for those who came in the middle of this, we're talking about the 3 seasons that you go through in business. The first season was the planting season / work on your game season. Second season is what we call the harvesting season. So what's the harvesting season? Most of you are familiar with this. This is the season that happens. We're actually going to have it in about a month. Right? In America, they have a holiday called Thanksgiving. And the whole purpose of Thanksgiving, whether any of you want to talk about social issues and the pilgrims and whatever bad people and all that, that's not what I'm talking about. The purpose of Thanksgiving is for people to give thanks for the harvest and the things that you have created for yourself over the past year. That's the purpose. That's the spirit of the holiday. All right. Whether you want to have an issue with the settlers and all that stuff is not what I'm talking about here. It's about being thankful for the harvest that you have created for yourself because of the efforts that you put in and the seeds that you planted. They have finally come to fruition. They have produced a return. All right, that's what the harvesting season is. This is the fun season. All right, the harvesting season is kind of like Christmas. Everybody familiar with Christmas, right? What happens at Christmas or your birthday? You get a whole bunch of gifts, hopefully, or you get to give gifts, but everything is coming in during harvesting season. You don't have to put a whole lot out during harvesting season. You're letting a lot of stuff come in to you, and you don't have to do a lot to receive it. See, this is harvesting season is when all the sales are coming in, when you're overwhelmed with opportunity. Everybody's knocking on your door. Your phone is continuing to ring. This is when everybody's telling you how great you are. Everybody wants to take a picture with you. Everybody wants to follow you on social media. Everybody wants to get next to you. Everybody wants to get close to the success that is dripping off of you. That's harvesting season, when all the success is just coming in. Now, we all love harvesting season. And because we love harvesting season, this is why we're willing to endure planting season. Because planting season is hard work. There's a lot of days of hard work, but we're willing to endure it because we know what's on the other side, which is the harvest. We get everything back as long as we're willing to deal with putting in that time, putting in that work. I'm willing to go to the gym and work on my game every day because I know when the season starts, when we have the games and everybody's watching, I get to shine in front of everybody, and then I get a contract. I get, everybody wants to be my friend. I get a whole bunch of followers. I get a whole bunch of attention. I get the trophy. I get more money, whatever it is, the bonuses, everything that comes with a high level of performance. I'm willing to put in the work so that I can perform when the lights come on. Put in the work when the lights are off, so I can perform when the lights come on, because I know I get all the rewards when I perform when the lights are on. So I'm willing to make that. I'm willing to make that transaction. That's what the harvesting season is about. Now, this is the harvesting season that, again, all of you are probably familiar with the harvesting season. Everybody's been through it. We go through it on different levels, but we all are familiar with this season. But let me give you a word of caution about harvesting season. Don't get so fat and happy during your harvesting season that you forget to plant more seeds. See, this is where people make a mistake, is that people get so fat and happy while everything's coming in. Your phone keeps ringing. Everybody's emailing you. You're getting all these texts. Everybody wants to buy from you. Everybody wants to be next to you during that harvesting season because you planted the seeds 6 months ago. Now everything's coming to fruition. Don't get so caught up in enjoying the harvest that you forget to plant the seeds for next year. This is where a lot of people make a mistake. All the sales are coming in. All the money's coming in. You forget that the reason this money is coming in is because the work you did 6 months ago. So you better be doing work today so that 6 months from now, you can enjoy this again. But if you don't do that work, 6 months from now, you're going to be dealing with a very bitter, cold winter because you didn't plant the seeds up front. And what happens to people is, let's just say like a sports team, an athlete, you win the championship. You're enjoying the championship. You're going to all the parties and the celebrations and the photo shoots and the interviews, but you forget, oh, you know what? I need to work on my game for next season. You come back the next season, you didn't work on your game. You're not in shape. You're not sharp anymore because you spent the whole summer celebrating. Now, all the people who you beat last year, guess what they spent the off season doing? Working on their game, planting their seeds, getting ready to beat you because everybody was watching you because you won, right? So they all were planning on beating you because you won. You didn't keep your game sharp. So now all the people who you beat last year, now they're beating you because you didn't work on your game, because you were spending so much time celebrating rather than preparing for the next competition. So that's why you can't get too fat and happy during harvesting season. So enjoy your harvest, but don't enjoy it too much so you forget to go back to work. You get what I'm saying? So you got to make sure you keep, Nick says they like to polish the golden egg. Yeah. I mean, just don't get so caught up in that celebration that you forget what the next thing is. Like even down here, for example, here in Miami, the Miami Heat basketball team. I remember it was Shaq was telling the story when the Heat, they won the championship in 2006. This is when Shaq had first come to Miami. It was the second season here. Dwayne Wade was here. I was thinking it was his third season in the league. Shaq's second season with the Heat. The Heat won the championship. And Shaq talked about how the Miami Heat team, those players, they partied and celebrated so much that summer after they won the championship that they all forgot to get ready for the next season. So the next season came around and the Heat was just a very mediocre, compared to the talent that they had, the team was very mediocre. So they still made the playoffs, but they were like a lower seed in the playoffs that year. They weren't the same seed they had been the year before. They went to the playoffs and they got swept in the first round by the Chicago Bulls. They got swept 4-0 the year after they had won the championship. And they were getting beat on in the playoffs. It wasn't even like they were losing close games. They were getting blown out in the playoffs. Why? Because they forgot to get ready for the next year. They were celebrating too much. So make sure you don't celebrate too much when you're celebrating your harvest. And here's season number 3. So we talked about the planting season, the harvesting season. The third season is what we call yes season. So this is a different type of season that you don't really get this in the farming world. So this is in the business world, the yes season. This is the one that doesn't get mentioned because yes season is the season where opportunity is coming your way, both for planting and harvesting. It's not just for planting. I mean, not just for harvesting, but it's for planting and harvesting. And these opportunities, check this out, are a result of your past harvests. So you get more opportunities to plant and harvest. Let me explain to you what I mean. See, the more you do planting and the more you do harvesting, the more you get noticed. So if you're out here working on your game and you're producing results by working on your game, more people are going to notice that. They're going to notice that you're making money. They're going to notice that you got more followers. They're going to notice that you're getting interviewed by everybody. They're going to notice that you're on all these stages. They're going to notice that you're at all the events. They're going to notice that now all their friends are buying your stuff. They're going to notice that. The more success you create, the more attention you create. Attention usually is a byproduct of success, not the other way around. A lot of people think it's the other way around. Social media got a lot of you fooled to believe that if you get a whole bunch of attention, then you'll become successful. No, it's the other way around. When you become successful, then you get attention. So don't go and try to build up your Instagram following because you think it's going to make you money. No, go make money. And because you're making money, you're going to build up your Instagram following. Make sure you get that equation right because Instagram/Facebook, all these platforms that run ads will take all of your money because you're pursuing attention instead of pursuing business. Do business and the followers will come with it. All right. I don't try to get followers. I try to get clients and customers. And because I'm trying to get clients and customers, I end up getting followers. So make sure you understand that. But that's a different conversation for a different day. But as you are doing more planting and harvesting, you get noticed by more people. Okay. And as this continues to happen, more people will want to do the thing that you're doing with you. They want to collaborate with you because they see that your stuff is working. So if I see that somebody's stuff is working a lot, I'm looking at them like, man, how can I get in the room with them and start doing what they're doing? Because clearly their thing is working. They might be better than me. So this is what happens when you're successful. Everybody wants to be around you. Everybody wants to work with you. Everybody wants to collaborate with you, do business with you, do a partnership with you. So this is the season where you have an opportunity to say yes or to say no because you have all these incoming requests. You got everybody wants a piece of you when you start to produce success. So this is yes season. Yes season means you have the opportunity to say yes. Doesn't mean you have to say yes, but you have the opportunity to say yes because everybody's asking you for something. That's what yes season means. Now, here's the thing you got to understand about the yes season. In yes season, you must become very discerning about who to say yes to and who to say no to. Because in yes season, if you say yes to everybody, eventually you're going to run out of time. You're not going to have any time or resources for yourself or your business or the things that work. Like right now, my son is saying yes right now. You hear him crying. But yes season is all about discernment. Who do you deal with? Who do you not deal with? And you should come up with some really clear parameters as to who you say yes to, who you say no to. What opportunities do you take on and what opportunities do you pass up? You need to get clear on this because if you say yes to the wrong people too many times, it could cost you all the stuff that you created along the way. So you shouldn't be dealing with everybody. You got to have some parameters. All right. If I'm going to deal with you, you got to be able to say this, this, and this. These things have to be true. I need to check these things out. This over here, this over here. If you do this, is a no. This, no. If you got this on your record, no. You got to be clear on that. Same way that a company, if you ask for credit, they got certain things they check. Right? The computer checks it. All right. So if you got this or this, the answer is an automatic no. If you got this or this, it's an automatic no. Right? If it's this or this, then it's a maybe. If you got these, then it's a yes. But they have a system. You need to have a system, especially when you get into yes season and you become successful. You're going to have more and more people wanting to stand next to you. So you need to get really, really clear as to who can stand next to you and who can't. All right. So make sure you don't let your time get sucked out of you when you become successful or as you become more successful. And here's the fourth point. And we're talking about the seasons that you go through in business, by the way, if anybody came in the middle of this. These seasons are always cycling. You're always going through all of these seasons. And as a matter of fact, oftentimes you're in all three of these seasons at the same time. You're planting, you're harvesting, and you have requests coming in to where you can say yes or you can say no. The most important season, though, is the planting season. You should always be planting something. I'm always doing some form of outreach. I'm always doing some form of reaching out to someone who I can do business with, or I want to do business with, I want to collaborate with, or I want to get on their platform. I'm doing that every day. Here at Work on Your Game, we're doing that every single day because I never want to get to a point where I wake up and there's no opportunities today or at any point in my future simply because we got lazy and we stopped doing the work. You should always be planting a seed. You should always be planting a seed for future money, future collaborations, future opportunities, future success. You should be doing that every single day. I don't care what you do for a living. Everybody should be doing it. If you're in the sales world, you know you always want new leads coming in and you always want to have some outreach going on, because if your referrals dry up, and because if all your business is based on referral and you don't have a process for consistently bringing clients into your business, well, you got a problem, because one day you're going to wake up and you have no referrals. Now what you going to do? Now you're basically like a brand new person starting at zero. Somebody was texting me earlier today. If you're not in my text community, text me at this number. I'm going to put it in the chat. I'm still getting over a sore throat. Any of you who's not getting my daily motivation text me at that number right there. So every day when I send a daily motivation text, you'll get it. But this woman was just texting me, and she was saying, Dre, I'm a real estate agent and I'm trying to build up my clientele. I want to work with higher value clientele, people who have more money to spend so I can sell higher priced houses. And I was asking her, well, what's your process for doing that? And she was saying, well, I got to go to more, networking events and get seen by more of the people who are at that level. And I'm going to shadow somebody who is already playing the game at a higher level than me. And what I said back to her, I didn't say it as deeply as I'm going to say it. I'm going to see what she says to what I said back to her. But I said to her, what you really need, yes, that's fine, the things you're about to do, but what she really needs is a process. She needs a system that is going to consistently get her name in front of the people who she wants to work with. But shadowing somebody else who's playing at a higher level is not a system, and going to networking events is not a system either. So she's going to need more than that. But I'm going to tell her that at some point, you need the same thing. You need a system that continually brings new people into your world. You can decide what that system is, but it needs to be a system. And a system means something you are doing over and over and over and over again that produces similar results every single time. That's what a system is, in case any of you didn't know. And my whole thing, even back when I was playing basketball professionally, back to YouTube videos when I was doing basketball drills, to talking about mindset, to talking about business, to what I do now, everything was driven by system. Everything's driven by system. I'm always looking for what system can I put in place that will make this work over and over and over again. All right, that's just the way my mind works. And that's all the people who I work with, that's what we're doing, trying to build up systems. So the planting season allows for the fun season, which is the harvesting season. So always plant, okay? Always plant. So if you got big muscles, for example, you spend so much time enjoying the fact that you have muscles, but you forget to actually go to the gym and lift weights, eventually you ain't gonna have no muscles. Or those muscles will go away because you stop lifting weights. So make sure you're not so busy collecting trophies that you forget to actually do the work that led to the trophy. Everybody get what I'm saying here? So let me recap these points and I'm gonna address some questions. If anybody got a question about anything that I've talked about here, put it in the comments. I'll address questions right now. I'll tell you about my event. And let me recap first. So these 3 seasons we're talking about, the 3 seasons you go through in business. Season number 1 is the planting season. This is the longest, hardest, toughest season, but it's the most important season. That's a metaphor for life right there. The longest, hardest, toughest things are usually the most important ones. This is the discipline season. Showing up every day, doing the work, planting the seeds for your future success. You should be doing this every single day. Something to plant your future success. Number 2 is harvesting season. This is the one that everybody knows about. This is the fun season. This is when you're making money, making sales. Everybody's saying yes to you. Everything's working. Everybody's pretty familiar with the harvesting season. I had to talk about that one too much. And number 3 is the yes season. This is when you're getting a whole bunch of incoming requests and inquiries simply because you've created so much success that you are drawing attention to yourself. And with that attention comes new opportunities to plant with other people, new opportunities to harvest with other people. But you can't say yes to everybody because you only have 24 hours in a day. So you have to get very discerning about who to say yes to and who to say no to during that yes season, because you're going to have plenty of opportunities to answer that question. Do you want to work with me? Yes or no? You have to choose when you get into that season. And the more known you are, the more difficult that challenge becomes. That's why you need a system for which you answer that question. You need a system for helping you answer that question, not just randomly deciding each moment. And the 4th point is you should be in all of these seasons, usually all the time, usually going through all of these seasons all the time. The most important one, as I said, is the planting season. And my live event, Work on Your Game Live is taking place February 3rd and 4th here in Miami. It's going to be 80 degrees. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be beautiful. It's a 2-day event. It's going to be at a beautiful place. You're going to be taking pictures. You're going to be Instagramming. We're going to have photographer, videographer there. So you're going to get pictures of yourself at the event. You're going to meet a whole bunch of high-level individuals. You're going to meet me. I'm going to be teaching for 2 days straight. You can write this off on your taxes as a business expense because this is personal and professional development. 2 full days, mindset, strategy, accountability, execution. Go to workonyourgame.live. Get your ticket to that event. Tickets will sell out, and we will be shutting down ticket sales. We ain't shutting them down yet, but we will be shutting them down once we get to a certain number. Workonyourgame.live is the name of that website. Again, workonyourgame.live to get your tickets to Work on Your Game Live. Now, let me answer some questions. If you got a question, put it in the comments. I'll answer a couple questions right now. Nick said, do you believe in a losing or down season? Sales are down, turnover internally. Yeah, I talked about that at the beginning. You probably weren't here when I first started, Nick, but I talked about that. That in just like nature has seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter, business has seasons. So absolutely, yes. There's seasons in everything. So there is definitely down season when spring and summer, everything's popping off. In the fall and winter, it might get a little bit quieter, and then it comes back. But yes, there are cycles. Understanding that you have those seasons, that's why you have these other seasons, the ones you can control. Planting, harvesting, and yes season. So good question. You just didn't hear what I said earlier. What tactical strategies do I have to combat that? You should come to Work on Your Game Live, and I'll talk about that directly. K. Maria says, since you have to create in some aspects of business, how do you reinvent, and what's the process of that? Well, you should listen to the Work on Your Game Masterclasses. I actually have an episode on, literally, I have an episode called How to Reinvent Yourself. I might be recreate. Well, let me see. Is it reinvent or recreate? I might got both. You reinvent episode 1636, How to Reinvent Yourself. Episode 1636, K. Maria. So if you go to Apple or Spotify, look up Work on Your Game podcast, or just look up Work on Your Game, or look up my name, Dre Baldwin. You'll see my show. And in there, I talk about how to reinvent yourself. So I'm glad you asked that question. It's a good question. It's a very good question. I have a podcast episode on it, and you should also, since you're asking the question, come to my event, Work on Your Game Live. I'll be talking about that as well. And the great thing about Work on Your Game Live is that every session during my event is going to be a 2 full day event. I always stop and ask, hey, who has a question? Who has a question about this? You have a question about something I haven't addressed? Anybody can ask a question, and I will address your question right there on the spot. And everybody who comes to my event, you're going to leave with a full strategic plan for how you're going to move forward. Nobody leaves the room until you have a full strategic plan of what you're going to do when you get back home. That's how I do my events. Now, I've been to a lot of events. Nobody's ever promised that. No event that I've been to. I promise it at my event. So that's one thing amongst many that make my events different than other people's events. But that's a good question there. Who else got a question? Go ahead and put it in the comment section. So any of you didn't know, I have a podcast. I call mine a masterclass, but it's in the podcast app. It's called Work on Your Game. It comes out every single day. As you all know, podcasts are free. So my show comes out for free every single day. You can see it right here. So go look up. You see this artwork right here? That's my show. Work on Your Game. It says mindset, mental toughness, discipline, and confidence. And it has my name, Dre Baldwin. You can't miss it. This show has been listened to over, just this year, over 2 million times. We've done over 5 million all time. Let me see what we've done so far this year. I'll tell you in a second. But anyway, it doesn't matter. What matters is you listen to it. So I want one more listener this year, which should be you, of you going and listening to that show. Again, it's called Work on Your Game. So pull that show up. Comes out every single day. We got over 2,049,575 listens this year. Do you see right there? See that number? 2,049,575 every single day. And text me as well. So Nick, Kate, Maria, both of y'all should be in my text community. My text message comes out every single day. So if you got any other questions, I can respond to them in my daily motivation text. It comes out every single morning for free to everyone who is in my text community. All right, so I answered everybody's questions here. We at right about 6 o'clock. Work on Your Game Live. I'll be talking about this a lot over the next couple of months until that event takes place in February. If you want an event to go to, any of you who has never gone to an event, if you never paid money and bought a ticket to go to like a business event or a conference or something like that, I know many of you have seen them. I know you see a lot of people do them. Maybe you thought about it, but you were like kind of nervous, like what actually happens at these events? Do I trust the person who's running it? Would you feel awkward going to an event? Are you the type of person who even needs to be going to an event? This is the event you should come to. You should come to my event, work on your game live. I'm going to be there, so you know me. All the people who come there are going to be people who are similar to you, like-minded individuals who are serious about taking their professional and personal development to the next level. And you see, I'm the type of person who makes sure that I answer everybody's questions. I address everybody's stuff. So you're not just going to be a random face in the crowd when you come to my event. All right, you're going to get to meet me. You get to shake my hand. You want to take a picture, all of that stuff we will happen at my event. We're going to give you breakfast. We'll give you lunch. We'll give you coffee, donuts, all of that stuff. That's going to happen there. All that's going to happen here in Miami. I'm already choosing the right venue, depending on how many people we're going to have. All of that stuff is going to be taken care of. And it's in Miami. I mean, who doesn't want to come to Miami in the middle of winter? All right, it's going to be 80 degrees here. Why would you not? And you can write all this off on your taxes. All right. So if you need help with the tax write-off part of it, you can ask me about that too. I'll tell you how to do it. You write this off on your taxes. In other words, the government will pay you for every penny that you spent going to this event. They'll pay you back. All right. So this actually is not an expense. This is an investment, and the government will pay you back when you do your taxes that you went to a business event, the travel, the hotel, the flight, the food, if you spend money on food, if you get an Uber, all of that stuff. Keep all your receipts. You can write all that off on your taxes. Your accountant can help you with that as well. I'm not joking. I'm dead serious about that. I do it as well. I spent a lot of money on personal and professional development this year. I probably spent, man, I can't even tell you how much. I spent a lot. Let's just say it's 5 figures. I spent 5 figures on personal and professional development this year. All of that is getting written off on my taxes. In other words, the government pays me to do this kind of stuff. All right. I'm not joking. So any of you who's in business, y'all can co-sign that. So somebody co-sign that so that they know I'm not just making that up. That is how it works. So come to this event. If you've never been to a business event and you're not sure about whether you should go to one or not, come to my event. I guarantee you, you'll be taken care of. You will get personalized attention. You'll get to meet me. I will introduce you to other people who are in the room. If you're a shy type of individual who doesn't like walking up and talking to people, but this is going to be the kind of event where everybody's going to be welcome. Everybody's going to be addressed. Everybody's going to be acknowledged. It's run completely by me. So if you trust me, you trust what I talk about, then this is the event to come to. That's what's going to be happening. Corey, what's going on, my dude? That's happening again, February 3rd, 4th, Miami, Florida. Work on your game live. This is a business professional development event. 2 full days, mindset, strategy, accountability, execution. All right, everybody. It is 6:00 on the dot, Sunday evening. Hope everybody's got a great Halloween lined up. I ain't got no costume, but I'll get some candy to the kids. But all y'all have a great Sunday and a great week in front of us. Write down your goals for next month. We got a new month coming up. Write down your goals every month. Everybody have a great Sunday. Work on your game. We are out of here.